Yeah. So just. Oh wait, are we live?
Yep, we are live.
Oh, that's okay. We'll cut that in post. Welcome
Okay.
everybody to Dancing Dragons Live. Dancing Dragons Live is Dancing Dragons' weekly live show where you get to hear from real coaches talking about real things that affect your real life. I got Maza with me. This is your third episode, right, Maza?
Yes.
Great to have you. So we have a really great episode today. Will isn't going to be here this week. Don't worry, he's coming back. Me and Will are not in a feud. I know that we like go at each other a lot, and now it's like you had an episode with me, then an episode with Will, now an episode with me. So we're missing each other on these. Oh wait, we did an episode last week together, so that's proof that we're still friends. but yeah, so we're not fighting. But he should be back next week. We got this new series that we got an idea for, which is Keys to Self-Mastery. Now, and before I get into the Keys and Self-Mastery, which I'm very excited to get into, I should remind you that DancingDragons.CC is the perfect place to find a coach to get you where you're going, right? New Year's are coming up. Everybody's setting these goals, right? Get somebody who will help you not only set these goals, but achieve those goals. Go to DancingDragons.CC. You can book an appointment with an intake specialist. They will match you with the perfect coach for you. No matter what your interests are, whatever you're trying to improve on, Dancing Dragons has somebody that focuses specifically on that discipline. Not only do we have somebody, we have plenty of people to choose from, right? So you can go there, match yourself with your perfect coach. It won't just be on the whatever types of things that you want, but you can match with them personality-wise and whatnot. So go there, check it out, dancingdragons.cc, take a look around, book yourself a coach, get to where you're going in life. All right, so keys to self-mastery. I'm pretty excited about this. We got a whole bunch of coaches on the Dancing Dragons network, as I just alluded to. And so everybody got these different ideas and different things to like set for self-improvement. And this way, it's kind of like a hodgepodge episode of like different things, right? And so maybe we're going to like set up a playlist down the line on our YouTube where it'll be like keys to self-mastery, and we'll just have like a whole playlist of these so people can just listen to them straight through and learn all these life hacks and different types of things for self-improvement, right? So I think that's pretty fantastic. So the first key I would like to introduce today is how to give and receive feedback. I just think that this is absolutely important. It's something that is so overlooked. I think a lot of people cringe about it on both sides, right? There's a lot of people that are allergic to criticism. They get real upset about it. They take it way too personally. And then a lot of people, even some of the same exact people, are really scared to criticize other people or critique other people, I should say, right? And again, people are so like, they're so wrapped up in the negativity of the word criticize that you have to change it when you're talking about it, because otherwise people get uncomfortable, right? I had to change it to critique. That just shows you like how culturally we're just not like accepting of an actual critical analysis of what we're doing. And it seems nowadays like the cardinal sin for everybody is to be judgmental, right? It seems like that's like the new generational thing. Like anything you do is okay unless you're judgmental, then you're evil, right? Like, so it's just kind of like this funny thing, right? But giving somebody like telling some, and I just to make the case for giving feedback is it's like I used to work in an office. Everybody wore suits, right? And I had a friend, right? And whenever he would see somebody with like their collar flipped up walking around the office, he'd be like, you see that? That's how you know that person doesn't have any friends, right? Because when your friend has something messed up, you tell them. That's what a friend does, right? And Maza, have you ever heard of this term gaslighting?
Gaslight? Yep.
No, not gaslighting, not gaslighting. Yas-lighting. Yas.
No.
YASSSS. It could be as many S's as you want, just to be fun. So do you understand? So it's something that girls mostly do. Obviously, guys can gaslight too. I'm an equal opportunity gaslighter, I guess. But like gaslighting is like when it's like gaslighting, but it's when you tell your friends that everything they do is great, no matter how bad it is, right? It's like, they'll be like, I showed up 15 minutes and my boss wrote me up. It's like, what? You've never been late before? Like, and then it's like, yeah, man, you do so much work for that person. Like, they should be kissing your feet when you walk in, you know? And then it's like, no, you are late. You shouldn't be late. Everybody knows you shouldn't be late. Why can't you just say, yeah, that's what happens when you're late, right? It's because we have this culture of gaslighting. It's the exact opposite of critiquing. So you've never heard that, but have you seen this go on?
A lot.
Yeah. So Maza, let me ask you this. We don't know each other too well yet. Are you a gaslighter? Do you gaslight?
When it's necessary.
Yeah, right. I was hoping that you'd give that answer. I'm glad that you gave the honest answer because it's expected, right?
Yeah.
And that's how husbands get in trouble with their wives, right? It's because it's like the wife expects us to gaslight like their friends. You know, they'll be like, "Oh, I did this," and then the guy's like, "Well, you shouldn't do that." Next thing you know, you're sleeping on the couch. I'm not giving my personal business here, but yeah, that's the thing. Guys are less likely to do it, but that doesn't mean that guys are immune. There might be a different term that you could use instead of gaslighting, but but anyway, so back to the main point though. That was a nice little tangent. Critical analysis has become like taboo. And it's the most important thing in life. I don't know, like it's just, am I crazy, Maza? Like, it's so important to know when you're doing stuff wrong or doing things poorly or doing things suboptimally, like however you want to phrase it. It's like, it's important because that's how you improve.
Really
that's how you get better.
Yeah, it's really important to know because otherwise how are you going to have a useful feedback, you know? So it's really important. So instead of like, how did I do? I think we should ask, what is one thing I could improve next time? Or where did you see me struggle most? Or what did I do well that I should repeat so that I can have positive things out of it? And people should give, clearer responses when the prompt is focused or something like that.
Yeah, and so there's this woman named Sarah Ward. I don't know how successful she is right now. I was involved in this weird, it's like called Sidcore. You do door-to-door sales. I don't need to get into it. It's basically like a pyramid scheme, but with like extra steps. But it's door-to-door sales, right? And then like the idea is if you do enough door-to-door sales and you build a team, then you can own your own office and you're a small business owner or whatever. Anyway, this woman, Sarah Ward, she had rose into like one of the top, they called her a consultant. She started off just doing door-to-door sales and she became a consultant. And I was in a one-on, it wasn't a one-on-one, it was like a small group session with her where people were picking her brain on how they could get better at the business, right? And somebody asked her, because like she had been in the business for a long time, never really had good success. And then all of a sudden she was like the most successful person. Like she was just opening up all these offices all over the country, right? And so somebody asked her, they're like what clicked? Like what happened? Like how did you go from like stagnant to just like boom? And she said, I can tell you exactly when it was. I had a conversation with somebody and they kept telling me things I had done wrong and I kept making excuses. I kept being like, no, but that's because this happened. I know I did that, but that's because I was reacting to this. And then that person said, like, stop. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? You're squandering your opportunity to get better whenever you do this, right? Like everybody tries to avoid responsibility. But here's the thing. If something is your fault, that means you have the control to make it better. Like you should want things to be your fault because that means that you can make it better in the future. If it's not your fault, then you're powerless to improve it, right? So she said, as soon as that clicked in my head, as soon as I got this idea that like I should be looking for how things are my fault as opposed to looking for how things aren't my fault, that's when it clicked. That's when all of a sudden everything started getting better because I was actively searching for a way to improve. And so with that introduction, I would like to talk about the best ways to gather feedback, right? And so giving feedback is a fantastic gift, but if you're going to be really selfish, if you're sitting there at home watching this and you want to like, and you really want to improve your life, right? And just be selfish. Who cares about giving other people good feedback, right? The important thing is getting good feedback. And so how do you go about doing that? And I would say the number one thing, and you kind of alluded to it, Maza, is ask for feedback.
Yeah.
Actually ask for it.
I would like to add here one more thing, that request feedback from different sources. I think that's really important. Like your
That's a very good
peers,
point.
your mentors, your critics, or your audience or customers. You need to ask feedback from them. And then you do the self-assessment, plus then you have external assessment comparison. Once you do that, that help you to overcome whatever things you are like having difficulty in your life at that moment.
Yeah, and I would also say like ask it for like a genuine, like ask a genuine reason. Like be like, hey, I am trying, like explain to the person like I am trying to get better at X. Do you see how I could do that? Like, and the more specific you are about it, the more open they're going to be. Like they're going to attach themselves. Like you're creating a narrative, right? Like people live through narratives. So you're actually telling them your story. You're like, I am here. My goal is there. How do I get there? And then they're going to be like, I want to be involved in this story. Like I want to help this person. I want to be, the NPC that gives them the sword where they can go slay the dragon, right? So they're going to be much more like personally committed to seeing it through. And then a very important thing is not to get defensive while you're receiving feedback. And here's the thing. It's not just that you can't get defensive, because perception is reality, right? You have to make sure that they do not perceive that you are being defensive. And a good way to do that, and like I said, Sarah Ward had said in the past, and she would always find excuses. Like somebody would say, hey, this happened. And then she'd be like, oh, but that's because I was reacting to this. Like, I actually do this. I catch myself doing it all the time, and I'm trying to stop it. Maybe like your keys later will be able to help me out. But like the idea of like I'm always trying to explain my mentality when I get criticism. And it's not because I'm trying to avoid the criticism. I just feel like the other person doesn't know the whole picture, So I'm like, hey, and I didn't realize that it came off as defensive before, right? And now I realize it, and I still just have this really bad habit of just constantly trying to explain things. Like people will be like, oh, this happened. I'll be like, well, you got to understand that this happened. And I'm just laying the groundwork for them, but they're perceiving that I'm feeling uncomfortable and I'm trying to explain away the negative things. And that's really not my intention. Or maybe it is subconsciously, but, I'm not a psychologist, so.
Okay, so we can also do like when you are on the journey of self-improvement, you can also do like create your feedback rituals. For example, weekly check-ins, and then you ask like what worked, what didn't work in this whole week. Your project debriefs, like what to keep, what to stop, and what to improve next. So these rituals normalizes your feedback, and it also feels less threatening to you as well. Once you start having this, feedback ritual every weekly or project based, it helps you to improve your, weaknesses and help you to improve more.
I like that idea. I'm a big fan of like trying to build habits and like set up routines. And speaking of which, I should not neglect this silky segue, as our own Coach Rona likes to put it, where it's like, hey guys, if you want like a actual built-in checkpoint for feedback in your life, you can go to DancingDragons.CC right now. Right? Book yourself a coach. That way you have like a weekly or bi-weekly call with a coach. And then that's like an automatic part of your schedule, built-in time where you can like solicit feedback. So it's a perfect thing to do. So just go do that. Sorry. I usually try not to do too many advertisements, but that was just too perfect to let up. But yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a fantastic point. Having like these built-in kind of like, hey, how do you think I did? Like whether it's with a mentor, a friend, whoever it might be. So I think that's a really fantastic way. Now,
And also, like there are like ways to receive your feedback without being defensive. So in that, there's like a very known method, which is the pause and ask method. So in that, before reacting, we need to ask like, can you give me an example of so that I can understand better? This shift, your brain from emotional defensiveness to logical processing, to understand logically why that person is saying this thing. Might be I'm lacking on something, rather than covering those things and having an emotional defense mechanism using there. Having a logical processing is like better than that. So pause and ask. I think that's how we should do.
And here's the thing. I'm a big believer in what would you call it? There's a term that they say, appreciation, right? So a lot of people think of appreciation as just like being thankful for something. And no, like I'm talking about like appreciating diamonds, okay? Like it's like appreciation means understanding the value of something, right? And so this might come off as a little Machiavellian, but hear me out, okay? So you should look at somebody who's willing to give you feedback, like in an honest way, as a precious resource, right? And so I think a lot of people err on the side of being defensive, right? Or being combative with somebody or something. Do not, if somebody's willing to give you honest feedback and you find that feedback valuable, you have to guard that resource. And so don't do anything that might jeopardize that situation. So even if they're giving you feedback on something that you feel like they're biased on or just completely wrong on, totally just zen out, just let it walk. It's okay. You don't have to get emotional about it because they're wrong about it. You understand that. They're just giving you feedback. They're not forcing you to do anything. So just calm down. Don't get defensive. Don't argue with them. Just accept the bad advice that they're giving you at the moment, because they're going to give you a whole bunch of good advice in the future. And if you fight them on a point, especially if you like get a little bit upset about it or something, you might turn them off from helping you in the future, right? So guard that precious resource in your life. It's so valuable. Really appreciate the fact that somebody's willing to take time out of their day to critique you. And that is something that you should appreciate to the full extent that is valuable.
Right. And I would like to add here that like you need to separate that message from your identity. Okay. Feedback is information. So this feedback is about my behavior, not about me. It's not about me at all. So we need to understand that in order to get feedback in a positive way.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. That I can definitely see how a lot of people take things too personally. And that is probably the cause of a lot of the emotional outbursts that happens during these feedback sessions, and why people feel so uncomfortable with doing it, because it's like a third rail. Like, think about it. It's so much easier. Like if you see somebody doing something wrong, and we'll get into giving feedback real quick, because we really spent taking feedback a lot of time on that. But like it's so much easier for somebody to just see you mess up and then not give you feedback on it and just keep on living their life. It's so much easier for them. Like to actually stop your day and be like, hey, I think that maybe, you're doing this wrong, or you're doing it like this, or you're doing this too much. It's caring. It's caring about you in the future. Now, maybe they only care about how you interact around them and it's aggravating them, but they still care about the results. And so they're trying to improve the situation. And so even if somebody is like a little aggressive with their feedback and they're giving you unsolicited advice, heaven forbid, unsolicited advice, right? The worst thing in the world to give. like, so even if they give you that unsolicited advice, don't take it personally. Now if they're harassing you, that's a difference. If they're always just like barking at you, you did this wrong, that's a totally different scenario. That's not what I'm saying. But if somebody's like, hey, you did this wrong, and you can see that they're right about it, you don't have to be a jerk. You can totally catch them off guard and just be like, oh, thank you. And then they're going to be like, oh, yeah, you're welcome, I guess. And so really appreciate the feedback that you get. It's the only way that you'll know how to improve yourself. If you don't get feedback, you won't know. And so just for the reverse, I don't think that we have to really, I'm trying to use a different analogy than the one in my head, but we don't have to beat the horse anymore. So it's just the same thing in reverse. When you are giving somebody feedback, like, don't be scared to give it. Think of it as you are helping them. And that's the mentality you should have when you're giving somebody feedback. Think about it as like you are giving them a gift, like you are trying to help them. And so don't be mean about it. You don't have to do that. And there are different ways that you can do it. I personally like the in the army, not in the army, in sales, we called it like the shit sandwich, right? So it's like you say a good thing and then the bad thing and then the good thing, and we say it's a shit sandwich. That's a little vulgar, but like, you could also call it build, break, build. Now, I've seen people say, never do that. It's so bad. I'm telling you, it's fantastic. Don't listen to those people. It works so well. People don't even see it coming and they really internalize it. You tell somebody, it's like, hey, I really love the energy that you bring to work. Every day you show up with a smile, you're ready to work, you do everything that you're told. But sometimes you can be a little overzealous. Sometimes like you talk when other people are trying to discuss things and you're just like a little bit disruptive. So try to tone that down. But otherwise, man, I love the energy. Keep it up. We really like the enthusiasm. Just try to be a little bit more buttoned up at certain times. Something like that goes over really well because like it starts with a positive, ends on a positive, and they're getting the full thing. Now, if you obfuscate the criticism there, which some people tend to do because they're trying to weasel out of giving somebody advice, that's not good, right? So don't obfuscate anything. Don't make it blurry. Don't be like, oh, I'm not really giving you advice. Don't mince your words. Be direct. But yeah, as long as you do that build, break, build, I think that'll work okay. Mazda, have you heard of the build, break, build? Do you like the build, break, build? Do you hate the build, break, build? What's your feeling on this shit sandwich?
I have no clue.
Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot there. I was just I've seen people like criticize it quite a bit, so I didn't know I didn't know what your stance might be. So, all right. So we've covered feedback now. We spent a good amount of time on that. So what's the next key to
I think we should talk
self-management?
about self-awareness. In order to, the key of self-mastery, one of the things is self-awareness. So it means understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, your emotional triggers, and your values and your pattern of behavior. And research shows that self-awareness to be the foundation of your emotional intelligence. And predicting your success in the career is also more than your IQ. So there are a number of examples on this as well, like a leader who notices about anger while in a meeting and ask about the clarification or questions from you, that prevents the conflict. So how we can develop the self-awareness, I think there are a number of things we can do. First of all, journaling is one of the best thing. It's a really good habit. Write down and write down about yourself. What did you do today? What was the best thing about today? What was the worst thing? What was your worst point today? Write about all those things, and then asking for feedback from other people, from different sources, your peers, your teachers, your mentor, any person, you can ask from them. And then we can also have like meditation or mindfulness is there are different breathing exercises, we can do those, to develop the habit of this and to learn about ourselves. And also, there are then, personality assessments as well, which we can do online as well. And we can go to someone who can help us to learn about themselves more through scientific ways. So these are a few things we can do to learn more about self-awareness.
So, all right, Mazda, I'm glad I have a professional here and I get to just like spill my brain onto you sometimes, right? So, all right, let me see if this is like along the lines that you're talking about, because you're talking about meditation, you're talking about this kind of stuff, right? So, and it's like self-awareness. So this might be a tangent, and just feel completely free to be like, no, that's stupid. That's not what I'm talking about. Shut up, right? Just that's okay, right? But like a while back, I noticed that I did not remember when I ate things. Right. So it was this weird thing. Like when I started eating, I would eat so fast and I just wouldn't remember it happened. Like it was like I got into this like zone where I was just like, ah. And it's like I didn't eat like an animal. I wasn't like there was food all over my face, you know. I could talk to you while I was eating and I would remember the conversation, but I wouldn't remember putting the food like in my mouth really. Like I could remember vague like eating vaguely. It wasn't like I like memory hold it completely, but like I just kind of got into this like weird kind of trance-like state with food, and I was like, this isn't healthy. Like, what's going on here? So like I feel like there was like I had to like physically force, but like I had to like think about it before I started eating sometimes, and I'd have to like physically force myself to be like, okay, don't do that. Chew your food, like. So is this kind of along the lines that you're talking about? Like,
Yeah, like you need to be very mindful when you are eating.
mm,
That's why it said that when you are eating,
mm,
we should not talk, much. We need to eat and chew our food so that it's goes a very like digestive way in our body, and then our body is like able to digest that food. If it's in rush, we're not gonna like chew our food and everything. So yeah.
I'm sorry if I threw you off with that. It was like a kind of weird thing, but just like the things that you were saying kind of reminded me of that time where it was like, because you're talking about like, maybe you're quick to anger or something in a board meeting. What you could do is to like, meditate on it. And I don't think I have that problem anymore. I didn't even know I had it like most of my life. I don't know when it started. Um,
Mm,
I just noticed, I was like, one day I was like, I don't ever remember eating. Like, I just don't remember doing it. And like,
mm,
everybody always knew me as somebody who ate really, really fast.
yeah.
And so it was just a weird thing. I don't know. So sorry to derail the conversation, Mazda.
No, not at all. Okay,
Yeah.
so there can be another key, which is like self-regulation and emotional mastery. So when we define this, this is like the ability to manage our impulses and emotions and our reactions, and in challenging situations. For
Mm,
example, instead of arguing, we defensively we like breathe or listen or respond with clarity. So that's when your emotions, have overpowered them or something like that. So how we can develop these habits? So first of all, there's like breathing techniques. There these then box breathing, which is like 4, 7, 8, or every second or third breath you count from 1 to 6 or 1 to 4, and then breathe. Like once you have like breathing technique or breathing exercises, it's calm down your emotion, your overflow of emotions and everything. And then also there is like pause, and then before you reacting to something, you have a pause and think about it. Whatever I am assuming, it's my, I'm just getting this because of my anger, or maybe I'm not logically thinking about this right now. And also another thing is like cognitive reframing. So what could this mean? If this person is saying this thing to me, this is it's not mean that that person is saying this because that person is like jealous of me or something. Might be he want to help me out in something. So always do reframe your cognitive thinking. So what could be this means or anything like that. Or and then of course there is like mindfulness training as well. So we always go for you have your emotions and everything, you have your control on your brain. Once you have that, then you have overall mastery on your thoughts and everything, and then that help you to self-regulate, self-regulation and everything.
Okay. So so now we've talked about we kind of talked about the like
Self-awareness,
self-awareness, right?
self-regulation,
Self-awareness.
and
Yeah.
mastery. Yeah.
Yeah, so like the self-awareness kind of thing, right? So it's like and there's like two different you said that there was like two different kinds of self-awareness. There's like actually being self-aware of yourself, the internal, and then the external, right? And so and like, so I don't want to get too meta, but how do you know when you are not self-aware? Right? Like how does maybe a lot of people will say like I'm very self-aware. Like I'm the most self-aware person in the whole wide world. Like how it seems like it's one of those things where it's like the Dunning-Kruger thing where it's like you don't know what you don't know, right?
I think it's exactly like the story you shared earlier. That person was like saying that woman was like trying to explain things according to her perspective, but she was not aware that this is not about her perspective. This is about the betterment of her company or whatever the firm that is. It's about that. So that's only cue of self-awareness. It can make you or can break you.
Okay. So I mean, maybe getting feedback, like just to tie some knots, like maybe getting feedback from people, like, hey, you're not very self-aware is like a good thing, right? Like maybe that's like a way to do it. It's very difficult. So like what I would say is like for the people watching at home, the best thing that you could do is just assume that you are not self-aware at all. Just assume you are just the worst. Okay? Like that is the best assumption in this scenario, right? I don't know, maybe Maza, she's gonna like slap me and be like, no, that is wrong, right? But like I think that's just a great assumption. Just like start from like a deficit point and just be like, I am terrible at this. I need to get better.
No one is perfect.
What is that?
No one is perfect, right?
Oh
So
yeah, right, yeah.
get that
So
thing.
So we did cover fundamental attribution errors in a couple of episodes ago, right? But it's the opposite of that. Just always blame everything on yourself, right? Just be like, yep, I am so bad at. I'm just the least self-aware person in the whole world. Got to get better at that. And if that's your mentality, I think that you're going to be fantastically self-aware. So a little humility goes a long way.
So when we talk about self-mastery, I think there's a huge role of discipline and habit mastery as well, which is like being consistent with your actions, which align with your goals, especially when motivation fades. Then nothing else is there to do something. For example, when we have like gym habits, we build by walking 10 minutes daily, and then we increase that thing. And what is our habit? What is our goal? If we don't have the goal, I don't want to lose weight or I don't want to gain muscles. If I don't have that goal, I will never develop a habit. And for habit to fulfill, there have to be discipline. If you are not having discipline, I don't think so you can be self-aware. Or for habit to build, there should be self-awareness first, and then you can master something, and only with discipline.
So I like that you bring up discipline. Is there any way to build discipline? Like obviously some people are just not going to be very disciplined. And there's a study, and I don't know, maybe if you want to talk about this, and this is my own personal tangent, so sorry for bringing you on the roller coaster again, but that's okay, Mozzie, you're great. Just so there's this marshmallow experiment. Now, these big famous experiments, I generally speaking, I'm very skeptical of them. I can get a little conspiratorial sometimes, but we're in the middle of this what do they call it? Not the reproduction crisis, but yeah, like experiments just aren't able to be reproduced, which means that they're junk science. And I feel like there's like a bunch of these experiments that got like a lot of press, and they're probably the most sus ones. And this marshmallow experiment kind of became like this, like, do you know which experiment I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So it kind of became like this pop psychology kind of situation where everybody's like, oh, you're just one of the kids that eats the marshmallow right away. You're a loser for life. So so could you talk about this marshmallow experiment, and is there a way, like let's say I have a 1-year-old. I don't know if he's like a loser kid who just eats the marshmallow right away, or if he's like a good kid that has a bright future that like saves and gets the second marshmallow. So like let's say my kid turns into like the loser kid. How do I like instill the discipline so he doesn't just eat marshmallows really fast?
It's not like the kid turn out to be loser or something. There's always nature and nurture, right? So how we gonna, how we gonna raise our children, the environment, everything gonna be matter for that person, that child. It's not like it's gonna be, turn out to be a loser. Always they're gonna be role of environment and how that kid has been raised. All these things, matter.
Yeah. So like what I'm saying though is like, what are some like, and again, you can say, well, I'm not exactly sure about this exact thing, but like, are there like certain things that you can do as a parent or even just for yourself to like start building discipline in like small ways?
Yeah, like there's always like start small with atomic habits. For example, stacking is there. For example, after brushing your teeth, meditate for 2 minutes, or after brushing your teeth, write journaling. So once you have like stacking your habits together, that's when you're gonna learn about discipline and your self mastery gonna be there. And then always have a reward loop with that, and then you automatically you have like accountability system with that. So pick one habit you would like to master and break it into 2-minute starting version, and then that's how you can build your discipline with that.
Yeah, I like the idea. Now, the problem with that advice is that I would have to like brush my teeth every day for that to work. So, I'm sorry, it was a bad joke. Coach Will would have laughed. I miss him.
Audience.
You're killing me. All right, so sorry, that was a bad joke. So all right, yeah, and sorry, I actually wasn't trying to call kids losers. I was being facetious. So I was trying to make the point for those watching that the way that people perceive this experiment is probably dubious at best, and that people really do believe that like if you just eat the marshmallow right away, that's it, you're doomed for life, you're just going to be a terrible person and you're like one of these deplorable people. So that's why I was kind of making that joke, but if you explain a joke, you're already losing, so I'll stop. All right, so let's get a little bit meta here, and I don't know, maybe Alex is still listening on, the CEO. So like Alex is my boss, right? And so we were talking about self-awareness and leadership, and we were talking about building habits, right? And so there are certain things in leadership, right? And so hopefully Alex is listening, and I don't mean to throw him under the bus, but whatever, he won't care. So so right before we got on, Maza, right? Alex was like, Elijah, stop saying the word like. Like you say like too much, right? Like, right? So you say like too much, right? Like you got, and he was like, Maza, you're perfect. Don't worry about it. Elijah, you got to stop saying the word like. Now, right? I'm a big fan of the whole like praise in public, punish in private kind of thing, right? And sometimes leaders they have this like lack of self-awareness of like the power they wield. Like they just think that they're just giving you feedback or whatever, but they do it in front of other people, and it could be embarrassing to people that aren't as shameless as me, right? So, so the question is that how can Alex, one, increase his self-awareness to realize that he wields power, and so openly criticizing people in front of others isn't the best thing to do? And then two, how can I build a habit to stop, like break a habit of saying the word like while we're live streaming?
Okay. So with the first question, I think you already told Alex about that through this. You already knew about it. I hope so. And the second one, I think, first of all, there's thing we call stop. Every time you think you say like, first not in front of other people, but of course when you are alone. If you are talking to yourself in the mirror or something, if you use that word, you say stop. Just take a pause and say stop. Try to build this. Might be it's gonna help you. It's gonna give signals to your brain that oh, you're using that word. You need to stop. And once you start saying stop, it's gonna give more signal to your brain, and then you're gonna stop saying that thing or stop doing that thing. I guess so. Sorry.
Okay. So I did notice though, after he called me out right before we went live, right? I did notice that every time I said the word like, even when it was like appropriate in a sentence, that I like would stop and it would kind of like distract me a little bit, right? So that's kind of a good thing because I probably avoided it a few times, right? I don't know. I'll have to re-listen to this. I don't know when I say the word like. I know I've now said it a whole bunch of times because we're literally talking about the word like, but I did notice that. So like, there you go. There it is right there. So when you said like you could do like these exercises in front of the mirror, like stop, right? Is that something where you actually force yourself to say like, or are you saying like?
Usually, it's like you are resisting to say the word like by forcing yourself. But eventually, when you start doing it, it's gonna build, it's gonna give signals to your brain. Oh, it's that point where basically we can use this with our thinking when you are thinking like consciously or unconsciously about negative stuff or negative criticism or anything. Oh, why that person said that to me, why that person said that to me, or might be I'm useless, I have no self-worth. And if you start saying yourself no, stop, or maybe you click something, if you're giving these signals to your brain eventually gonna understand that, oh, this is something I have to stop working on. And that's how these small things, small actions help you in that way.
So it's kind of a like classical conditioning technique where it's like
Yes,
you're
yes,
okay.
yes.
All right, cool. So it's like Pavlov's dog, right? So here we go. All right, here we go. We're getting deep into psychiatric what do you call that? Prescriptions, right? So again, if you're watching this, none of this is psychological advice. Go see a professional and that's licensed or something, just in case we overstep that line. But yeah, I really like that kind of classical conditioning approach where it's like, there you go, just now, stop, right? So, so I remember I got a new car and my girlfriend at the time, like I had to unlock her door in a weird way. Like I had to like hold the unlock button in a certain direction and then it would unlock for the whole car. And I kept like keeping her locked out of the car and it was like the winter and it was like cold. And so what I would do is like I actually would walk if I remembered that I like didn't hold it unlocked when I got in by myself, I would literally go back outside the car and close the door and actually make myself hold it and then do it. And I broke the habit that way. So that's like a similar kind of concept. So I like that. So we're 45 minutes in. I think that we have one time for this last key, but I was thinking about saving it for the next episode because I kind of want to talk about it a bit. So I think 45 minutes is pretty solid though. Unless Mazda, do you have like another key that you want to bring up? That's a little bit shorter.
Do it next one. Next session. I think we should do it in the next live. And we can go into more detail about one at a time.
Yeah, so we're teasing it, right? So the idea is that I wanted to do something about like after action reviews or just basically like retrospective meetings. I think that that's a really important thing that's really benefited me in my life. And a lot of times there's like so I learned them in the Army, but there is like some corporate systems where you might have worked in a place or something where they do these things. But I really wanted to focus on like how it's like personally helpful to like think in those terms after something happened and like do like a review of what happened and what could have gone better and what went well and all that stuff. Right. But we'll save that for another episode because kind of want to get into depth and I don't really have a whole lot of time to do that now. So, Coach Will isn't here. Let me see if I can do his line for him. He said it a million times now. It's like, hey, if you get in legal trouble, you're gonna go see a lawyer, right? If you cut your hand and your thumb's half falling off of your body, right? You're gonna go see a doctor. You're gonna see a surgeon, right? And if you have a life, you should get a life coach. So go to DancingDragons.CC. You can find the perfect life coach for you, whatever interests that you have, whatever hobbies that you might have, whatever ways or goals that you want to improve on or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish in life. Dancing Dragons has somebody who will get you to where you're going in life. So go to DancingDragons.CC. The CC stands for Coaching Collective, so it's easy to remember. DancingDragons.CC and find the perfect coach for you. Outside of that, I hope everybody enjoyed the keys to self-mastery and remember to be excellent to each other, everybody. Peace.